All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of The Potential Project. I'm your host, Sean Calhoun, and this is where we find out what it takes to unlock your full potential in every area of life. Guys, welcome back to another episode and another week of learning, of growing, of getting better. So, if you are someone who has found yourself in negative situations or reliving certain circumstances or scenarios in life over and over again, there's a chance that your energy is in the wrong place. And today we are going to talk about energy and how it affects your life and some things that you can do to utilize it to get the things that you want, the goals, the lifestyle, the achievements, the fulfillment that you're looking for. All stems from energy. Now, I know we talk a lot about health, wellness, and fitness on this show. And that's great. And I love those episodes of teaching you the tangible things and the science behind everything and the biology of our body. And that is all important. But the basis of life as we know it is energy. Everything that you see, taste, touch, feel is made up of energy, which is good, right? That's a good thing. Knowing that we have this power and that we're all connected should be empowering to you to know that we can utilize this to our advantage. So, right, like this computer that I'm looking at, the phone that's in your hand, the car that you're driving, it's all made up of energy. And we are all connected to it because we ourselves are made up of energy. So, where am I going with this? Why am I talking about energy? Is this going to be one of those woo woo podcasts? No, this is going to be very actionable stuff and it's going to make sense because I like to simplify all that I do in ways that we can all understand it. And the reason for this podcast is more so the energy that you're putting out as a human being, not the fact that you are made of energy, right? It's how are you showing up in the world to other people? How are you feeling inside? Like what energy and what mood and what scenario are you putting out to the world to showcase you as a person? And the reason why I'm doing this is because, like you guys, I'm human and I have good days, I have bad days, I get anxiety, you have thoughts of fear, frustration. I go through all of that stuff, right? And recently, in a bout of anxiety, you start thinking the worst possible scenarios with business, with life, just in general, right? And you play that out and you get caught in this trap of being in that negative, I call it a negative ball of energy, right? And that leads you to not ideal circumstances, right? You're not showing up as yourself. You're being negative. You are not doing the things that you once did. You're being quiet. And that in turn leaves you to feel like crap. So when I was doing some soul searching and trying to snap myself out of it, I always listen to podcasts, read books, a lot of personal development, talking to others. And it came down to talking with a friend where they were basically like, you don't believe in yourself, right? You're not showing up as the person who you claim you want to be. So in that moment, kind of like a light bulb went off where it was like, okay, if if me not believing in myself and not showing up as the person who I know I can be is leading me to feel like this, well, then I need to make the shift to show up as that person, right? To have blind faith, to know that if I put the work in, I'm going to get the result because it's always happened in the past. And really, if you boil down the worst scenario of the anxiety of the fear you're going through, it's probably not going to happen, right? So the point in today's episode is to get you to go from where you are now to embody the energy, the personality, the traits of the person who you want to become. So why is energy crucial for attracting the things that we want in our life? Well, energy is contagious, right? People are drawn to confidence, optimism, and enthusiasm, right? And I know you might say, well, Sean, I don't have a lot of confidence right now. I'm not very optimistic about the situation. That's what we're going to get into, right? We're going to find ways to flip that switch and to make the shift in our energy and our consciousness, right? And then back to energy as a law. If you've ever heard of the law of attraction, in simple terms, like attracts like, and negative energy repels, right? While positive energy attracts. So if you are putting out energy of good things, right? Good things are going to come into your life, right? If you're putting out hatred and negative energy, that's gonna push that stuff away. You're not ever going to be able to attract the things in your life that you want. And even if you do it in a negative way, like um, if you're looking at someone else who is achieving the result that you want, the body, the lifestyle, the relationship, the money, whatever it is, if you come off in a jealous way where you're like, I hate that person because they have that, you're telling the universe that you don't want those things. You don't want the relationship. You don't want the body. You don't want the success. So we have to be really careful in the way that we approach our energy, that we're not repelling things, right? You want to come from a place of abundance, that we're all connected, and that good things will attract more good things, right? So what do? We have to start embodying our future self, our higher self. So that means we need to figure out what that looks like. So if you're in your current situation, right? And when I talk, I hope you can apply this principle or these thoughts to your specific scenario, right? Whether it be I want to get healthier, whether it be I want to put on muscle, I want to get into a relationship, I want to leave this relationship, I want to grow my business, whatever it is, this is applicable to that situation. So I can think of it in terms of what my situation is, and I hope you can take it and turn and plug it into your situation. So I'll speak broadly, right? So what does your future self look like? Right? You need to dress the part. And this might sound crazy, but if you want to be, let's go for a CEO of a corporation, right? You can see yourself in the suit, the tie, the watch, the briefcase. Not many people want that, but if you do, right? If that's your goal, then you're walking around in sweatpants and in slippers, and your beard is all straggly, and you're talking very low and slow, and that's not the person that's going to be the CEO, right? One thing that you can start to do is, hey, start wearing more suits, be clean shaven, right? Get yourself a nice wardrobe and start showing up as that person, right? Dressing the part, right? You need to speak like you already have the situation that you are in, right? So this becomes more of a like self-awareness, right? If I want to be healthy, vibrant, high energy, whatever, if I want those things, if I want to have a captive large audience, I need to be aware of the language that I'm using. I can't be speaking in terms of lack or doubt, right? You need to speak with positive affirmations and confidence, and project your voice and have that high energy. You can't, show up and say, well, this and that. Like, no one is going to be attracted to that. And then the other thing is walk with intention, right? What does your posture look like? If you've ever, unfortunately, driven down the street and saw someone who was homeless or was not in a good situation, they're slouched over, they're walking really slow, they're mopey, they have, run down clothes, their beards all long, or whatever the situation is. That doesn't look like someone who's going places, right? They look like they're just trying to get by, trying to find the next snack out of the trash can. But if you have your shoulders back, you're walking with a faster pace, and you have your head held high, well, guess what? Someone's looking at you and they're saying, whoa, they have somewhere important to be. And I know this sounds crazy, but literally the pace at which you walk determines how people see you, right? If you're just moping around and going real slow and looking around, like, people aren't going to see you as someone as higher importance. But if you've got your shoulders back, your head held high, and you're looking to where you're going, you have goals, you have ambition, and you're seeing where you're going, right? So that's embodying your higher self through how you dress, how you speak, how you show up in the world, right? Now, mindset shifts have to happen, right, to align yourself with your goals. So some things that we would do for that is to practice gratitude for what you have now, right? Look around. Do you have a car? Do you live in a home? Do you have a partner? Do you have all of your limbs? Can you see? Can you smell? Right? You can take it down to the most fundamental levels of life, of even saying, I'm alive right now. There's a very small likelihood that you would even become a human being and be here right now listening to this. So have gratitude for that, right? Have gratitude that you're breathing air, that your heart is beating without you even thinking about it. There's a lot of people that don't have those scenarios. And I'm not saying, oh, you have to sit there and say someone always has it worse, just look at the stuff that you do have. Take a deep breath and realize, wow, there's a lot in my life that I'm very grateful for or that I do take for granted. Like your cell phone. If you own a cell phone, I mean, just think about it. They all cost like $1,000. They have access to all the knowledge in the world. You can contact anybody in the world. You can create a social media account that can make you a business, right? You have so much to be grateful for just within that cell phone, right? So that's a step for a mindset shift is to start practicing gratitude. Then it's to focus on abundance rather than scarcity. Now, this one is tricky, especially if you've been a person accustomed to being negative. If you were raised in a family and in an environment that was always constantly talking about negative things. The news is on, who got shot, what happened in Kansas, right? Like all this stuff that happens in the world, if you're focused on the negative, it's going to be really hard to step into the energy that you need to propel yourself forward. So we need to start focusing on the abundance rather than the scarcity. So that kind of goes with gratitude, but it's being able to see that things are coming to you without you even trying, right? Like think about it with air. You don't have to pay for air. You don't have to make a marketing campaign so that you get air to come to you and then you can breathe it in. It just kind of happens all day, every day for your entire life, right? That is something that you can focus on that has an abundance mindset, right? Look at the little things, like look at all the animals, look at nature. Nature is a good way to see abundance, right? Nature happens the way it needs to happen. It happens everywhere, right? You think about roots, like and things growing in cracks, right? You see all the nasty weeds growing through the cracks in concrete. Nature just happens, right? You poured the concrete and it still just showed up, right? That just shows you that there's abundance everywhere. Look at how many cars there are. There's a million cars. There's food everywhere, right? That we have more than enough things in this world. It's just that we're propelling it away from us because of our focus on the negative. We're focused on the lack of things rather than, wow, look at all of it around us, right? And then the other thing to shift your mindset is to visualize the outcomes as if they're already happening, right? When you close your eyes to visualize, or when you write your goals down, and when you're preparing for these things, don't look at it as like, ooh, that would be nice, right? See yourself in that scenario. So it's like I do visualization. I can't even say that word. Visualization and meditation every morning, right? So I propel myself into the future and see myself as the higher version. What am I wearing? Where am I at? How am I walking? Who am I around? Who is helping me in this journey, right? You know, a lot of us, when we meditate and visualize, you're by yourself, right? Did you ever think about the fact that you have friends, family, and there's billions of people on this earth, and it's going to be because of them to get you to where you want to get to? So when you do these goals and you write things down, notice, are you doing it all by yourself, or who are the people you're enlisting to help you? So when I visualize, I see my family, my friends, connections that I haven't even met yet, but people that I'm connecting with. And I see them in that picture, right? So you can visualize what it's like to be there. And to me, that's the most powerful one. Now, there's a lot of different ways that you can step into your higher self and see what you want to become. But my personal favorite is closing my eyes and getting very, very detailed on what are the colors, what are the sights, what are the smells, what's the conversation, what are the noises. You're trying to take all of your senses and have them happen inside of your head. That really gets you close to who you want to be. And the reason for that is, and we can talk about this on another episode, but your body doesn't know the difference between real life, what we call real, and what's going on in your head. So if you're propelling a good future, your body's going to start to do things, and there's going to be some circumstances that draw you closer to that outcome, right? Now, some practical strategies to show up powerfully, right? Because we need to be able to do this on a day-to-day basis, right? So one thing you can do is to have a morning routine to set the tone for your energy. Now, morning routines are not just a checklist of things that you saw from other people online. Well, 20 list 20 list checkpoint that you saw from other people on Instagram and you're like, oh, that sounds cool. That's how I'm going to start my day, right? No, it needs to be things that bring your energy to a level that you need it to be at, which is a high positive energy. So things that you can do are for your mind, your body, and your soul, right? So something for your mind. Maybe you read a couple pages of a book, or you're learning a new language, or you're playing an instrument, right? Something that you can do in the morning that's quick. It doesn't have to take long, but it brings you joy, happiness, and positive energy, right? Something for your body, right? A workout, a yoga session, stretching, going for a walk, some type of physical action with your body, because physical action stimulates energy. And for your soul, right, we need to calm the noise, right? Not everybody has an hour to do a meditation practice, but if you can take 5, 10 minutes to just turn off your screens, turn off your phone, and just sit in silence, and maybe say some prayer, right? Whether you do that in the morning or at nighttime, that is going to center your soul and get your energy in the right space for the day. Again, this is yours. So you're going to have to customize this for what feels right. And it's always changing. It's malleable, right? Because the goal in a morning routine, again, is not to check boxes. It is to say that before I see anyone else, I'm going to show up for myself and put myself in a good state so that I can show up for everyone else, right? Imagine you are in sales and you have sales meetings starting at 9 a.m. Well, you want to show up vibrant, high energy, confident, and prepared so that the people who you're talking with are going to feel that and they're going to want to do business with you, right? They're going to want to buy into what you have to sell. But if you're in the morning and you're doing a bunch of stuff just to check a list and then you're beat down tired, you're going to show up to that meeting not optimal. They're not going to want to do business with you, and that's going to have a negative trickle down effect. But if you've seen a bunch of things and if you've tried different habits out in the morning and you're like, you know what? I need to wake up, splash some water on my face, brush my teeth, read my book for a little bit, and then get a 30-minute workout in, and that fuels me and that gives me high energy, well, then guess what? That's your routine. You just have to go off base how you feel. And that's the most important thing. Are you, after your routine, depleted, or are you high energy? Right? Are you feeling like you're ready to conquer the world, step into that higher self, and then go become it throughout the day? Well, then in that case, those are things that you need to implement into your morning routine. Another thing is to surround yourself with high energy people and environments. Again, I don't work in a corporation or work a 9 to 5 per se, but you've seen salespeople in scenarios. I even saw this in a lobby of a hotel once where it was a big sales team and they were all circled up and they were doing like a football clap and they were getting all hyped up in their morning meeting, right? That is them changing their state. They're changing their energy around other high energy people to then go out into the world and then go crush it, hopefully making more sales for their company, right? So surround yourself with people who are high energy, not people who are going to suck the energy out of you, right? Another thing is to audit your thoughts and words. This is something that, again, is an ongoing process because we have thousands and thousands of thoughts daily, and a lot of them are negative and a lot of them are repetitive. So we need to start thinking about our thoughts and audit them. Hey, I really caught myself, I went on Instagram and I saw this situation and I started to compare myself to them and think about myself as like not good enough and why aren't I there yet? And I'm this old, or why can't I look like this? I've been trying for so long. Boom, catch yourself in the act and start to audit that, right? We need to cut those negative thoughts up and we need to replace them with something that's positive, right? Something that's empowering. And then the other thing is to take small action steps that align with your future goals, even if they seem insignificant, right? Not only do you want to show up as the person that you're becoming, but you have to align your goals and your actions with that person as well. It's like, what would future Sean do in the morning? Like, what would he do for breakfast? Well, he'd have something that's, whole foods, rich in nutrients, probably some protein to have your energy set for the day. Boom. That's how I choose my breakfast. What would future Sean do as far as like water? Well, he would drink, half a gallon to a full gallon of water to make sure he's hydrated and the energy's high. Okay, well then let me do that, right? So you start to make these small steps that align with your future goals, even if they might seem stupid or insignificant at the moment, but they're going to compound, right? And you always have to look at what would future self do, what would higher self do, and you have to take that action, right? And it's important that you can have role models and you can look up to people who might be doing something that you want to do, but you also have to know that you're capable of doing that. So if all you're doing is looking at other people, like, what do they do? That's cool, right? You can use them for guidance, but really envision yourself, see yourself as even better than them, right? The best in the world at what you do. What would that person do? How would they show up, right? And I want to talk a little bit about the whole phrase "fake it till you make it," because you might have been thinking about this as I'm going through these steps, and I want to debunk that just a little bit, right? Fake it till you make it is a term that gets overplayed and used a lot, where people show up as someone they're not. Again, if you see these influencers or these people who have the lifestyle that you want, and you go ahead and try to be them, that is you faking it, right? If you're dressing how they dress or talking how they talk, let's say this is someone who curses a lot, but you don't really curse. And now all of a sudden you're cursing to try to like be, powerful and assertiveness, or there's someone who's like real harsh and like rah rah style, and you start to be like that. Well, people are going to feel that it's not authentic. People are going to know that that's not really you. Now, there's a difference between your higher self and someone else, right? That might be their higher self, and they're someone who, is very rah rah and harsh and curses a lot. But if your higher self doesn't do that, then people are going to know for sure, and you're going to know that that's not you, right? So I want to debunk this whole thing of what we're talking about today is not fake it until you make it. It's all about being authentic and just stepping into the next higher version of yourself, right? And the reason this works, and I touched on this before, is because your subconscious starts believing what you're consistently showing it, right? If you're consistently showing up wearing those type of clothes, having that type of energy, taking those little habits and those actions that your higher self would, well, then it's going to force itself. It has to become that person, right? Now the confidence really starts to compound, right? And you're putting forth that energy. And then guess what? The circumstances, the coincidences, the business opportunities, the progress with your health starts to come as a default, right? So, for example, right, I like to share my personal experience with you guys, and I touched on this a little bit before, but there was a point where I was not feeling so confident about the business or certain things that I was doing, right? And then I took an audit on the thoughts that I was having, how I was showing up in the world, the actions that I was taking. And while I do believe I have a lot of good habits, there were some things that were holding me back. And the main thing was the energy that I was putting forth, right? Now, I'm not saying I'm the king of energy, right? I think I could even improve on it now. If I listen to this podcast back, I could probably improve upon my energy. But if I showed up like this and I was like, well, like today we're going to talk about energy, and you wouldn't want to listen to that, right? No one wants to be around that. It is just proof that high positive energy has a frequency about it that attracts all other things that you're looking for in your life. So my point is, I was showing up uh, with a state of lack. I was looking at things like, oh my gosh, poor me. Like, why can't I figure this out? Um, Instead of saying, wow, there's tons of opportunities out there. If I just have blind faith that I know I'm taking the right steps and I do it with all of my ability, then things will happen. And I promise you they will, because for me, situations popped out of nowhere. People having interest in being a part of the studio or working with me personally, or just opportunities that I didn't even think of were starting to pop into my life, and I was accepting them. And that's the biggest point. You're not going to know, right? You're not going to know the steps that are going to happen after you take these actions. If you want have a goal of making more money in your business, or losing weight or finding a part. Let's use a relationship, right? You could say, well, I'm going to download this app and I'm going to find the love of my life, and it's going to happen that way. That's one possibility. But if you're stepping into your higher self and how you want to show up and dressing that way and taking those morning actions and having a mindset of abundance throughout the day rather than lack, who knows? You might have the app swiping, 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 and you're in the grocery store and you didn't realize because you were so busy swiping that you bump into this person and wow, there they are. That's the person you were meant to meet, and then you have a conversation with them, and then you go out on a date, and they end up being the love of your life. You didn't know that that was going to happen, right? But this is what I'm talking about. When you align yourself with that higher energy, things happen for you that are good no matter what. So you thought it was going to be, I'm going to swipe on this phone until I find my partner. But because you were doing that, you ran into them in the grocery store. That's just a random scenario. That didn't happen to me. But what I'm trying to say is you can't sit there and try to play God. You can't sit there and try to say, if I do this, this is how things are going to play out. You have to know that good things are going to happen as long as you consistently take those positive actions. Guys, so my point for today, the takeaway is that if you are not in an ideal scenario and you'd like to be, I need you to take an audit, step back. What am I doing right now that is negative, that is not helping me? And then really close your eyes and paint the picture of that higher version. How do they dress? How do they talk? How do they show up? How do they walk? What do they look like? What are the actions that they take? What are their habits, their morning routine? And then write all that down. And then you can start taking small action, no, big action, daily action towards becoming that person, embodying those habits, dressing that way, talking that way. And then when you do that on a consistent basis, you'll start to see things unfold. And the one thing that I want you to do is when that first serendipitous moment happens, when that email comes through, when the phone call, when the DM from social media happens, when the random results start to happen, sit down and acknowledge that and say, that was because I was stepping into this future version of myself. Nothing happens for accidents. I can't speak today. Nothing happens by accident, and everything happens for you, not to you. So if you can start taking those actions and realize, whoa, that crazy situation where I met that person and they had a connection with the job that I was looking for, that wasn't by accident. That was because you were taking aligned action. So guys, if you enjoyed this episode, if you learned anything, there's two things that I want from you. Is number one, please go take some action on it, because I don't want to sit here for you to listen and be like, oh, that was cool. If this can help you, go do something about it. And number two, if you think this was a good episode and you did learn something, please share it with someone. If you share it with one person and that has an impact on their life, then we've all done our job, because it is our job as human beings to make connections and to be a light for each other so that we can all grow, right? We're all here. We're all in this together. So thank you guys for spending your time with me. I will see you next week.